Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of eHeroes. Today I have Azriel Ratz with me, and we're going to talk about Facebook ads. And Azriel right now is in Heathrow Airport, and I get to be stuck in my dungeon basement here. So I think you have a better location right now.
Well, I mean, as long as I'm not quarantined for coronavirus, then we're all in. Then
Oh,
it's all great, you know.
I think we should all get it.
We should all get it.
We should all get it. Yeah. Then we'll be immune.
Oh, okay. I mean, I prefer to not have illnesses. So,
I think it's fascinating. Everybody's running out to the grocery store and buying toilet paper.
I mean,
I don't understand how that has any effect on your coronavirus, but
maybe the toilet paper companies will have low production quality, and then we'll all be in a lot of trouble.
yeah, it just now see now my phone's going crazy. But anyway, so let's talk about Facebook ads.
Absolutely.
I mean, because you're like the genius of Facebook ads. I mean, you help so many people, and I've been on Facebook for 11 years. I think that's 10 years too long.
Was it the first year or the last year that was the good
I think
one?
the first year I got shut down twice, and then I haven't been shut down lately, which is good.
That's good.
I'm abiding by the rules, although I probably should be shut down a few times for my political posts. But Facebook ads are one of those things that I think irritate more people than anything, because Facebook changed the rules last year, where it used to be you could target people that were left-handed with four fingers that had bloody noses every single night. You can't do that anymore. I mean, they took a lot of that out.
Yes, they did. They did remove a lot of third-party targeting, which is definitely problematic. But at the same time, with the raise in privacy and security concerns, there are pros and cons to every situation.
Mm-hmm.
After the whole Cambridge Analytica fiasco, elections, Facebook kind of felt that it was required to take a step back and say, we could have incredibly powerful targeting, or we could just have really amazing targeting, right? Like there's still so much opportunity on Facebook today, even after removing all the third-party targeting as far as behaviors, geography, gender and age and interests and lookalikes, that there's still so much that you can still do on Facebook. At the same time, they need to be weary of the fact that there are a lot of bad agents, I guess is the word they use, in the world. And if it's possible to leverage the data that might be too much data in order to swing elections, change opinions, get the wrong people in power, then it's Facebook's responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. So on the one hand, I agree that it was really fantastic to be able to target the wealthiest people in America, the people who drive specific types of cars, like that all those were like really fantastic targeting options. But at the same time, to be able to say like Facebook is taking responsibility for something which they don't do so often, that I think is actually a step in a good direction, even if it does have some negative things for ad managers.
I was just, I guess this happened last week. I saw someone posted that 3 times in a row, and I guess they run ads for their clients. 3 times in a row, Facebook took all their money. Their monthly budget was shot in one day, and they had to refund the client all this money. And I'm like, okay, well, if it happened the first time, why didn't you go back and tweak it? Why did you let it happen 3 times in a row and cost yourself $3,000?
Right.
They didn't like my answer, so they unfriended and blocked me. But there are people out there that I don't understand, don't know how to set this up. They want to be Facebook ad geniuses, but they're costing their clients a lot of money.
Right. I mean, let's say I've read I read this interesting book by Noah Yuval Harari, he wrote the book Sapiens.
Mm-hmm.
So his sequel out of the second book of 3 books he's written, called Homo Dos, and he talks about that everyone's afraid of the future, like robot apocalypse where the robots take over everything. And he said that the people are, think that the biggest fear in robots is that they're going to grow some sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Consciousness.
Yeah.
The robot's going to grow some sort of consciousness. But really the bigger problem with robots is that they just do what you tell them to do. Like to the T, like they will do whatever they tell you to do. And many times that becomes an issue because, people have compassion and that ruins things sometimes. And they're able to think through situations when, when there's a rule, like, if you say like, go to war and all the people in this area, you should kill them. And then you see like a 3-year-old child, well, the robot would say, well, it's a person and it's in this area, time to die. While a person would say, it's a 3-year-old, he's not involved in the war. This is not his problem, right? So the fact that they set it up and then they say Facebook took the money away, right? Well, Facebook's literally a robot, right? Like the ad manager is literally just a system. The fact that you have set up your ad account in a way that the robot can screw this up means you didn't put things in place that you should have to prevent that from happening. Now, the only way I can imagine that happening is on the first of the month, they created a lifetime budget campaign set for a full month for the entire $3,000. That would be the only way I'd imagine. Setting a daily budget, there would be no way for the bot to do that, right? There'd be no way for the algorithm to do that. But there is a possibility that very early on, there needs to be a lot of things in play. 1, the pixel has to not have so much data. 2, they have to have very broad targeting. And 3, they need to have set up conversion optimization, telling Facebook spend $1,000 in the month. There is a possibility that in 24 hours, it could spend it when you've set when those 3 things have happened all together. It's kind of like a tsunami effect where things can go wrong. So now as someone who's run a lot of ads, I expect that and I'm cautious of it and I'm run things to prevent that from happening. But someone who doesn't know what they're doing, that's a very strong possibility, especially for new clients. And you could burn through an entire budget in a day and it happens. And the only person to blame is you for not knowing that could happen.
Yeah. I've seen so many horror stories on people wasting their money on Facebook. But, in the same respect, Google does the same thing if you don't set it up right.
That's it.
We've been concentrating a lot on Google, but only because for me, I just find that that's where a lot of my clients go. A lot of my clients are lawyers and doctors. They don't spend time on Facebook, but people that are buying products, people that are buying services tend to go on Facebook, and that's where they hang out.
That's it. Yep.
So, I mean, you've been doing this for a while. I mean,
a long time.
You have
2012.
You have to manage a lot of different accounts.
I mean, the thing that I really like is that since I've been doing this for so long, kind of like been going in waves. Like I've had specific types of clients at different times through the years. Like I started in nonprofits, I shifted to online publishers, kind of moved into like the online like coaching businesses. And now I'm like sort of in a place where I'm doing e-commerce. Now, obviously throughout the time I've done apps and SaaS and nonprofits and anything you could imagine, from like fishing lures to multi-million-dollar house sales and everything in between. But to have specific, like move through different niches and sort of see so many different ways of running Facebook ads. Every niche sort of requires a different way of running ads, a different sort of approach, different way of targeting, different sort of ads. And it's so interesting to see, one thing that would never have worked in one campaign works amazingly for a different client. Like, just as a quick example, I run ads for a lot of the big one now is female e-commerce brands. So I have 3. I have a company that sells girls clothing, newborn to 14, 2 separate brands. I sell jewelry, and then the third one is swimsuits. So it's basically 3 separate companies. It's really 4 separate companies, all in e-commerce, all selling to women online. And the things that work for one work very well for the other. So what works? You have a post, it gets a lot of social proof, people comment on it, taking that existing post, running that for optimized for conversion objective, run it to people, they buy. Amazing, fantastic, great. Now compare that to a client that I've had for a long time, running their ads since 2017. they're an amusement park in New Jersey, right? Now it's a totally different type of a company. They're not e-commerce. It's a much higher cost per product. Like you're buying a $40 ticket to the park versus, you know, a dress that could be $8 on that specific website. Also, it's targeted geographically versus gender. It's more focused on the area around New Jersey. There's 6 states. If I remember offhand, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Ohio. I think those are the 6. So we're running towards those states. Boosting posts do not work.
Yeah.
They like it at all. It does not work at all for those companies, even with social proof, even with clicks and engagement and all that. That's something that doesn't work. We need to be creating what used to be called dark posts, which is basically just posts, ads made within the ad manager that don't show up in the newsfeed. It's a totally different animal. It's a totally different way of targeting, a totally different type of company. And I really like that. Over the years, I've gotten to try, just waiting for this announcement to stop. I really got to see so many different types of businesses and so many different, you know, ways of targeting, so many different ways of testing out different copy and creative and what works and what doesn't for different things. That's really what I do love about this, is that each business is sort of like a puzzle you need to solve.
Yeah. You know, that's why I like doing it. You know, I started out in the SEO realm and then delved into social media, and we create a lot of posts, we create a lot of articles, we create, you know, but you know, people come to me and they help us write their books, but you know, Facebook ads was always something that you know, was way back in the back burner because you know, too many horror stories, and I think early on when I tried it myself, you know, it was all about boosting.
Right.
Boosting never worked. It was always a, you know, then they came out with the full blown ads and you could do it. And, but, you know, to me, I need someone like you on my team helping me, because I'm just doing way too many things. And you know, I have a guy that just does our ads for Google. I have a guy that just does this, and it's just easier to, you know, put everybody in compartments and let them do their thing.
100%. 100%.
But, you know, you're all over the place. I think you live in Israel.
I live in Israel. That's correct.
And so are most of your clients in the United States? Are they all over the country, world?
So right now I'm actively working with 9 clients. Obviously, there are companies that come to me all the time. A quick question here, consulting there, you know. Of the clients, I have one in Israel, which is, the company's basically, it's a nonprofit split between Israel and America, but the client is located in Israel. This new client is the swimsuit companies in Australia, and then the rest of them are all in the United States, anywhere from New Jersey, Texas, LA, California, all over, which is really fun dealing with time zone issues. Philadelphia. So it's always, you know, hard trying to figure out what time of the day, especially Sydney, Australia, is literally the worst time zone to Israel, because 12 a.m. is when they start work and 8 a.m. is when they finish work. So it is a very hard time slot to sort of fit in and make sure that we have calls. And I also think it's very important to have calls with clients that get on the same page with things. One thing I instituted about 6-7 months ago is that I want to have a call with every client every 2 weeks, no exceptions, because I find that long periods of not talking into each other creates like very strong communication issues. Like they're expecting things to happen that aren't happening. I'm expecting things to happen that aren't happening. You know, like I'm expecting a landing page, and I don't talk to them for a month, and I'm like, "Where's the landing page?" They're like, "Oh, I thought you were doing it." And then like they're expecting an ad to go up, and I was like, "Oh, I thought we were waiting 2 weeks to do that." So just like being able to get on the phone with these people, having conversation with them, knowing what their expectations are, knowing what my expectations are, what sales are coming up. You know, Easter's coming, right? So we're gonna have to worry about running an Easter sale. We got to prepare for summer. A lot of companies, they're, you know, running summer sales. We got to make sure we have all the creative getting put in place. So I find that it's very important. Communication is probably like 30% of all success that happens on Facebook ads, is the ability to communicate between all of the different parts of the company, between the people that are posting organically, the content creators, the head of marketing that's deciding what sort of sales happening, you know, just to be able to sort of dovetail all of that together is a very big part of any ad campaign, but specifically on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, one of the concepts that we use on in running Google ads is that, and I tell the clients, I said, you're not going to get home runs the first month, because usually the first month
Yeah.
you're testing ads, you're making sure things are working right, and I'm sure
Right.
that's the same concept that you use on
Absolutely.
Facebook.
Yeah. I tell clients the first 2 months is trial. So my contract, which I strongly believe in, is a month to month.
Hmm.
So if you don't like how we work, please fire me. I have
Yeah,
no interest in working with clients that don't like me. But the first 2 months, we need to do 8 weeks. We have to,
yeah,
because the first month you have no idea what's happening. You don't know who to test. Every company is simply so different. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Like, some companies will hit crazy home runs in the very beginning. So that women's e-commerce clothing brand I mentioned, the first 3 weeks together, we generated $300,000 in revenue, which I believe was at the time about 6.5 times return. I don't exactly remember the amount, but about 6.5 times return. And it was the amount of money was so much that they were able to pay down all of the debts from the first 6 months of the year from just 3 weeks of running ads. And
wow,
that's not a typical thing, right? Like, that's not something that people should assume to happen, but it can happen. Versus another company, which I actually spoke about at the conference I was just at last week. I don't remember what day of the week it is. Someday, some point this month, I was at a conference, and I mentioned this company, and the company is it's a tripod for cameras, but instead of it having legs, it's simply just like a flat metal disc,
hmm,
and it allows you a lot of versatility when it comes to taking pictures, because you don't need a giant tripod. You can put it anywhere. Like, imagine you want to take a video of someone opening a refrigerator. You could literally stick your camera on this very small tripod in the fridge. Like, that's how compact it's able to go. So we started together, and we were hitting a return of 2.3. And I said to them, so even at that number, they were still making profit. But I said, based on the numbers we're getting right now, my hope is to be hitting around a 4, between 3 and 4, maybe even a little higher than that, by the time the testing period's over. And then after the first 2 weeks, we saw this dip happen that dropped from 2.3 to like 1.3. And I came to them and I said, I'm really expecting 4. I'm not happy with how these ads are going, and I think we need to do something about it. We ended up spending about 2 hours on the phone, rerouting, changing the entire website to focus on a totally different product, which is basically a bundle between. I don't know how familiar you are with photography, but it's basically called a macro photography bundle, and it
hmm,
comes with the tripod and 2 gooseneck lights, so you're able to get like, you take the camera, you take the 2 lights, you take the tripod, all together with this very compact little thing that you could fit, probably in your pocket if you wanted to. Allows you to take incredibly close up pictures of very small things. So it's really great for companies that are trying to get, the example they give is like gears in a watch, these tiny little gears. You're trying to take pictures of like a flower blooming. You're trying, all these very small things, very close up. So we rerouted the site. We added a header bar to the top. We moved the product up in the all products list on the website. We moved it up to slot number 2.
hmm,
And what we found was that by rerouting the whole website, we created a new ad just for that product, targeting all existing users, website visitors, email subscribers, Facebook page likes, all those people. We are now targeting them for this new larger cost bundle. And we found that within the 2 weeks after changing, we went from, again, it started 2.3, dropped to 1.3. And now when we finally finished that 8 weeks of testing, we're now at 4.5 times return on the ads, simply because we had the time to figure out what was working, what was not, and then what needed to be tweaked within the funnel, within the company and everything, in order to drive a much higher return on the ads. And it's a process that simply takes time and money,
yeah,
and knowing what you're doing to make sure that you're able to do this for any sort of company, looking at the data, seeing what works, and tweaking.
yeah. A
Making,
lot of these
yeah,
companies, they'll have separate people to do their web design and separate people to
right,
run their ads, and a lot of times that the creative people behind the website don't understand the dynamic of what the ads are going to do for them.
right, right,
So it drives people to the website, and people are like, oh, the website sucks. It's not user
right. I mean, it looks beautiful. It could look beautiful, but it might not. It might not work as you intend it to be.
Yeah. So I mean, you get to travel a lot. You get to do you speak at a lot of events?
So I would like to speak more. My wife would not like me to never speak again, but I would like to speak more. This year I was at two conferences. So I was just this last week at this current week at Social Media Marketing World, which was March 1st through the 3rd.
In San Diego.
In San Diego, 3 very intense days starting very early morning. I believe the first speaker was 8:30 every day. And parties didn't end till 10 p.m. Some of them even later. I got to sleep the last night at 2 a.m. And then the other conference I was at was actually in November. I went to Slovenia. I was the only speaker. Basically, the head of the event he hosts events every like 2 or 3 times a year, and he speaks for the first hour, and then he has a keynote speaker speak for 6 hours.
Wow.
And it's basically like cover an entire topic. So I spoke this year. Last year, the speaker before me was on growth hacking. He's having it. He had right after me, like just a couple of weeks after, he had a YouTube expert come and do a 6-hour thing on YouTube. He has my friend Jen Herman. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, to come speak about Instagram in just a few months. And so I was at that event, and it was really fantastic. And it taught me a lot about, the different types of speaking gigs. To speak for 30 minutes on stage to 500 people is very different from speaking for 6 hours in front of 100 people.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of got me to want to sort of start these like 2-day incubators. You come in 2 5-hour days, you get lunch, and you actually like get hands-on, like, oh, let's like learn how to let's learn what a Facebook pixel does, and then learn how to set up a Facebook pixel and actually do it there on, at the event. And then, learn about custom audiences, and then like actually set up your custom audiences, learn about, creative testing, and then actually set up. So like to be able to have this sort of like speech break, activity, back to speech, lunch, break sort of thing. That's something that I've really thought a lot about after that event in November. Now, obviously I would love to speak more, big or small conferences, but travel is very difficult. My wife, I have 2 small kids, a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. So it's always fun to leave my wife with these 2 kids while I travel the world.
Yeah. My kids are older, so for
Right.
now I can have the luxury of
Right.
traveling. But yeah, when they were younger, I tried to stay home.
Absolutely. I mean, what I would like is for my wife to come, but then, it gets even more complicated. What is she going to do for 3 days while I gallivant through the halls of the convention center in San Diego,
Yeah, my wife did that one time a couple years ago, and she's like, "Ah, this is boring." No, forget it.
Actually, one of the speakers brought his girlfriend with him. And after the first day, she's like, wait, is all you guys do just like walk around and talk to people? He's like, yeah, that's literally exactly all we do. Yes. What did you think was going to happen? You're like jugglers, you're fire throwers. Like it's a conference, it's not the circus.
Although, I think some of these conferences could have a circus in there, and because I've gone to some that were so boring.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I've discovered that I get more business and I have more one-on-one connections out in the hallways than I do.
100%.
And so I was like, just skip. I don't even need to hear the guy speak. I'm just going to go out in the hallway. You guys want to talk to me? I'm back here.
Yeah. And what's great is that there are so many different types of conferences, even within the marketing world, right? Like you compare this event that just happened, Social Media Marketing World, with an event that I hope will happen at the end of this month. I won't be able to go, again, travel issues. Traffic and Conversion, which is going to be in the same place, also in the convention center, end of March. And the type of, even though they're both marketing focused, sales focused, there's such a different type of event, totally different type of people that come. It's much more about sales. It's much more about networking. It's much more like getting things done versus this event, which is more, I work for a company. I'm trying to learn the best tactics so I can learn, like, how do I run Pinterest pin ads? How do I, start getting on TikTok and growing my business, there versus like meeting people in the hallway and, signing big contracts. Like, so like a very different sort of.
You can keep TikTok. I have no interest.
I think I find it very important for myself to just sort of know what's happening on platforms, because The reason I'm on Facebook ads isn't because I just love Facebook. I mean, I happen to love Facebook, but the reason I'm there is because I honestly believe it's the best bang for your buck for most businesses.
Oh, yeah.
Now, obviously, there are a lot of exceptions when it comes to, people searching something on Google. I'm never going to beat a Google ad when you've typed in like, I want size 10 shoe of this Nike shoe into Google and I have an ad there.
Yeah.
I'm never going to beat that with a Facebook ad on interest-based targeting. It's simply not going to happen. But every time there's a new social media platform or any time a social media platform, grows significantly, like we look at LinkedIn in 2012, they started just growing at a crazy rate, went right as Microsoft had purchased them. I'm always nervous that maybe Facebook won't be the ad platform because there's other ad platforms where just, slide in and be a more interesting, cheaper option. So I'm always on the lookout for new potential platforms. When Snapchat came out, I moved up to Snapchat. I've been on a lot of platforms that came and died very quickly. One called Whale, one called Cyberdust, one called I don't remember what that one was called. But basically, the idea is if I can get on these platforms and just understand how the algorithm works, understand what their plans are for advertising, then if I feel like there is a large opportunity for lots of companies, and I'm talking about like the average company, 80% of companies, then I would want to spend the time to actually learn how to do that platform at least as half as well as I do Facebook ads.
With TikTok though, they still haven't discovered how to monetize it. I don't think you can run ads on it yet.
So when I'm in Israel, in America, I believe they do have a beta version of their ad platform, but outside of America, they actually run Facebook audience network ads. So if you're running standard Facebook ads, you are actually getting placements on TikTok without knowing it. You can't specifically choose to be on TikTok, but I actually saw like lots of clients I was running ads for, especially international targeting. I would be scrolling through my TikTok, getting my own clients' ads.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I would screenshot like, "Look, you're on TikTok."
So there's advantages, but by and large, though, you're because you're working outside of America, you're seeing a lot of the things that we don't see.
Absolutely not. Yeah, correct.
So
totally different.
That's kind of a good thing.
Right.
But here in the United States, I think they're very restrictive in some of the things. Although
Right.
I think Europeans have a
way stricter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're always nervous about running ads because especially companies not in the EU, and they have to be dealing with these GDPR issues. Like, for example, the swimsuit company. So they are based in Australia and they have a store, like a physical store in a place I believe is called Bondi. I can't tell you where that is, but they have a store there. But the majority of their sales are in the United States, and they have ability and fulfillment within Europe. But running a Europe-based website for their brand is way harder for them than running both the Australia and the US brand. So it just becomes much more difficult to try to target people in the EU, especially with all the, running a custom audience to email subscribers in America is fantastic. Running it in the EU is dangerous. You never know, like, is someone going to sue me for running an ad to them? And they gave me an email 3 years ago, whatever. So it's always something fun to worry about.
So how does my audience get a hold of you if they want to run Facebook
Absolutely.
ads and they hit your demographic?
Absolutely. So the best way is through Facebook Messenger. Unfortunately, Facebook has one really dumb rule that I hate, which is a max of 5,000 friends.
Yeah.
And I'm well beyond that number. Just, you go to enough conferences, you meet lots of people, and you always want to be their friend. So I'm actually run out of space. Obviously, like every couple of days, one person drops off and I get one extra slot there. I think I'm at like right now 4997 or something. Yeah. And I tried to keep it open during the conference because a lot of people had met me. They wanted to friend me, and you're not actually able to even send the request at 5,000. So the best thing to do is, just send me a message on Facebook, Azriel Ratz, and just say, hey, I saw this video, podcast, whatever you call this show. And I'd love to connect. Yet. You haven't decided what you call it?
No, it's after 75, episodes. It's the e-hero show, but whatever people want to call it.
It's whatever they want.
Yeah.
So just send me a message on Facebook. That's the best on Facebook Messenger. That's the best way to connect. And I'm very active there. And then hopefully there'll be a slot to actually accept the friend request. But it's always
Facebook is one
great
of
on
those.
Messenger.
Facebook's, I think, the only network that reminds you when someone's birthday's coming up, and I'm thinking, oh, I haven't talked to them in a while. Unfriend. Happy birthday, you're gone.
Oh yeah, goodbye.
But
I did that for a while, and I'm just like, I feel so bad. Like, this is not a birthday present they need right now,
So you keep them alone. That's funny.
So I figure, so I started doing a while ago was wishing everyone on their birthday happy birthday, and if I go 3 birthdays and they haven't responded yet, then it's time to delete them.
Wow, you wait
If I've gone 3 years, well, how else do I know? I'm not going to go through my messages. They haven't responded yet. It's time to delete them. I talk to lots of people on Facebook, so if I did that, it would take me forever. Like, someone send me a message. They're like, I want to chat. I'm like, we should schedule a call. And he's like, oh no, just like message me when you're free. I'm like, you're gonna get lost in 1 hour. I'm not even gonna remember your name in an hour. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was hard enough trying to get a hold
Right.
of you with this interview.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out in the end.
So anyway, if you're listening, to all
Yeah.
the audience members out there, please go and visit Azriel on his Facebook and discover more about him and follow him and if you have problems with Facebook or you just don't understand the ads, ask him questions.
Absolutely.
This is why I brought him on the show. He's a hero to a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and so I want to thank you, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.